On October 15, 2023, while headlines screamed about a modest 2.5% cost of living adjustment, roughly $50 a month, Washington quietly launched a series of changes that could devastate over 72 million retirees. What looks like a minor tweak on paper is actually a Trojan horse, packed with bureaucratic traps and financial landmines. Behind the scenes, Medicare Part B premiums quietly spiked by over 5.9%, jumping to $185 a month, effectively swallowing up the entire COLA increase and leaving seniors with less purchasing power than before.
Backhand index pointing right. If this information helped you, don't stop here. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you're always one step ahead. We break down important updates like this clearly so you're never caught off guard. Join our community, stay informed, and take control of your financial future, starting today. Flexed Biceps Calendar.
This isn't just a rounding error. It's a calculated squeeze on those who can least afford it. And the timing couldn't be worse. The Medicare premium hike hits in October, but the COLA boost doesn't arrive until January. That's a 3-month income gap. 3 months where fixed-income seniors watch their grocery bills climb, heating costs rise, and prescription drug prices soar, while their Social Security checks stay flat. It's a cruel mismatch that lawmakers created and continue to ignore. But the bureaucratic absurdity doesn't stop there. Roughly 400,000 Americans, mostly low-income seniors without access to bank accounts, are about to be cut off from the only method they trust: paper checks. The government is phasing them out entirely. No more envelopes in the mailbox. Just a cold demand to go digital or get lost. These are people already on the margins, and now they're being forced into a system they don't understand, putting them at real risk of theft, fraud, or total financial isolation. The so-called hold harmless provision is supposed to act as a safety net, ensuring your Social Security check doesn't shrink if Medicare premiums rise more than the COLA. But here's the kicker. That protection only applies if your premiums are automatically deducted. Pay another way and you're out of luck. 2 retirees, same income, same Medicare plan. One's protected, the other isn't. That's not a safety net. It's a rigged game. And while Washington clings to the CPIW, an outdated inflation index designed for urban workers, to calculate the COLA, seniors are getting shortchanged by hundreds of dollars every month. If the government used the CPIE, tailored to the spending patterns of the elderly, benefits would rise by about $370 more every month. That's money that could cover prescriptions, rent, or food. Instead, retirees are stuck in a system that refuses to recognize the reality of their lives. Worse yet, the benefits themselves are built on flawed math. Earnings from past decades are indexed to wage growth, not real inflation, undervaluing what retirees actually earned. And the tax system. It's frozen in 1983. The thresholds that determine whether your Social Security is taxed haven't moved in over 40 years, meaning middle-class retirees are now paying taxes on up to 85% of their benefits, something Congress never intended. And looming over it all, the Social Security Trust Fund is projected to hit a brick wall in 2034. That's when across-the-board cuts of up to 20% could hit every retiree in the country unless major reform happens. Spoiler alert, it won't. The political will isn't there. The message is clear. The system won't save you. Plan now or be left behind. Millions of American retirees are waking up to a series of underreported but deeply consequential changes to the Social Security system. While headlines lazily tout a 2.5% cost of living adjustment, roughly $50 more per month for the average beneficiary, the truth behind the numbers tells a very different story. These aren't just tweaks. These are systemic shifts that threaten the real-world purchasing power and long-term stability of benefits for over 72 million Americans. Let's start with Medicare. In 2023, Medicare Part B premiums rose over 5.9%, bringing the standard premium to $185 a month. That hike alone erodes the COLA increase almost entirely. So while retirees are told they're getting a raise, the reality is their net income is flatlining, or even falling. And here's where it gets worse. That premium increase hits in October, while the COLA bump doesn't take effect until January. That creates a 3-month stretch every single year where retirees actually lose ground. Prices for food, rent, medications, and utilities continue to climb, and seniors are forced to tighten belts that were already cinched far too tight. But this isn't the only area where retirees are being quietly squeezed. In what was buried beneath bureaucratic language and procedural rollout, the government is phasing out paper checks. Approximately 400,000 recipients, many of them elderly, low-income, and lacking access to bank accounts or digital literacy, are being forced onto direct deposit or prepaid cards. There's no meaningful plan in place to help them transition. No outreach, no safeguard, no real support. And for seniors who have spent decades receiving their checks by mail, this change is more than a hassle. It's a security risk. Theft, fraud, and loss of access are not abstract fears. They are likely outcomes for some of the most vulnerable Americans. The hold harmless provision is another trap that sounds like a safety net but isn't. It's supposed to prevent a retiree's Social Security check from decreasing when Medicare premiums outpace COLA increases. But here's the catch. It only applies if the premiums are deducted directly from Social Security. If you're paying premiums another way, such as out-of-pocket or through a bank draft, you don't get this protection. That means two retirees receiving the same gross benefit could face completely different outcomes depending on how their payments are structured. One's protected. The other sees their benefits effectively cut. The system isn't just unfair, it's built on outdated tools. The COLA calculation still uses the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers, CPIW, a metric that doesn't reflect the real spending patterns of retirees. It underweights the biggest expenses that seniors face, like housing and healthcare, and overweights costs that don't apply to many older Americans. If the Consumer Price Index for the elderly, CPIE, were used instead, monthly benefits would be $370 higher right now. That's not a rounding error. That's rent. That's prescriptions. That's food on the table. And it gets worse. The COLA is calculated using inflation data from months earlier, well before the new year even starts. So when inflation rises rapidly in the fall, retirees are stuck with benefit increases based on outdated data. By the time the adjustment hits in January, it's already too little, too late. This inflation timing trap guarantees that retirees are always lagging behind the real cost of living. Then there's the issue of how benefits are calculated in the first place. Social Security uses a process that indexes past earnings to wage growth, not inflation. That means if you earned a good salary decades ago, the value of those earnings may be artificially low in the benefit formula, especially if wage growth hasn't kept up with actual inflation. It's a technical-sounding problem with massive real-world consequences. It systematically shortchanges retirees who worked hard and earned well but are now punished because of flawed indexing. As if that wasn't enough, Social Security benefits are subject to taxation under rules that haven't been updated since 1983. If your income is just $25,000 a year as an individual or $32,000 as a couple, up to 85% of your Social Security benefits can be taxed. These thresholds were set over 40 years ago and haven't been adjusted for inflation, not even once. In today's dollars, those limits would be more than double. Instead, they've become a silent tax increase on middle-class retirees who never expected to pay taxes on the benefits they spent a lifetime earning. But perhaps the most alarming fact of all is what's coming just around the corner. According to Social Security trustees, if nothing changes, across-the-board benefit cuts of around 20% are scheduled to take effect by 2034. That's not speculation. That's in the official projections. And it's not just for new beneficiaries, it would affect everyone. That means a retiree currently receiving $1,800 a month would see their income drop by over $350 per month overnight. Unless Congress acts, and soon, retirees are staring down a financial cliff with no safety net in sight. This isn't fear-mongering. This is arithmetic. And the longer we wait, the harder the landing will be. What's even more infuriating is how the system keeps whispering that things are fine, that COLA increases are keeping up with inflation, that tweaks will come before catastrophe hits. But retirees know better. They feel it every time they walk into a grocery store, every time they fill a prescription, every time they open their utility bills. The numbers on paper might say there's an increase, but the reality in their wallet says otherwise. So what's the answer? It's not to wait for Washington. It's not to trust that the same politicians who let this system decay for decades will suddenly find the courage to fix it. The answer is individual action now. If you're nearing retirement, you need to plan like benefits will be cut, not propped up. Maximize your earnings now. Fill every year with income that counts toward your benefit formula. If you're in a low-income tax bracket, consider Roth conversions while you still can. Pay the taxes now at a lower rate so you don't pay them later when every dollar matters more. Diversify your income streams, whether it's through part-time work, rental income, or investment dividends. The days of depending solely on Social Security are gone. You must understand the system's traps so you can avoid them. Know how your Medicare premiums are paid. Switch to automatic deductions if you're not already doing so. Make sure you're enrolled in direct deposit or a secure government-issued prepaid card if you're still receiving paper checks. Don't become one of the 400,000 at risk of losing access to the money you earned. Stay informed about inflation adjustments, trustee projections, and potential legislative changes. This isn't background noise, it's your income, your independence, your dignity. There is no cavalry coming. The system is buckling, and the political will to fix it simply does not exist right now. That means the burden falls on you. And while that's deeply unfair, knowing the truth gives you power, gives you time, and it gives you a fighting chance to hold on to what you've worked for. October 15th isn't just another date on the calendar. It's a turning point, a reminder that even modest-sounding changes can carry devastating consequences. The Social Security system we've known for generations is in flux, and the next decade will determine whether it survives in any meaningful form. So here's what you need to do. Get educated. Get strategic. Get loud. Talk to your financial advisor. Talk to your family. Talk to your community. Start planning now. Not next year, not when the benefit cut hits, not when it's too late. Your future doesn't belong in Washington's hands. It belongs in yours. Backend Index Pointing Right. Share this video with anyone over 50. Make sure your parents, your neighbors, and your friends know what's coming. The time to act is now. Don't wait for a crisis. Prepare before it hits. And hit that subscribe button to stay ahead of the system that's leaving too many behind. The Social Security system is being hollowed out right in front of us. And unless you're paying close attention, you're going to miss the signs until your benefits get slashed and your financial footing crumbles beneath you. The COLA increase that everyone is talking about. That headline 2.5% sounds comforting, doesn't it? It's not. It's barely a patch on a tire that's already blown. With inflation continuing to chew through the purchasing power of every dollar, that extra $50 a month isn't just inadequate. It's insulting. Groceries alone have gone up nearly double digits over the past 2 years. Rent for seniors. Skyrocketing. Prescription costs. Still climbing. But the government pats retirees on the back and says, "You're getting a raise." No, you're not. You're getting scraps while Medicare quietly takes a bigger bite. Speaking of Medicare, let's talk about that nasty little October surprise. The timing couldn't be worse. The Part B premium increase rolls in 3 months before the COLA. So from October through December, retirees are left footing a higher healthcare bill without a single extra cent in benefit adjustments. That's 3 months of going backwards financially, every single year. Over time that compounds. It's a financial sucker punch that keeps landing again and again. And if you think you're protected because of the hold harmless provision, don't get too comfortable. That safety net only catches you if your Medicare premiums are deducted directly from your Social Security. If you've opted to pay a different way, or were never told this even mattered, you're on your own. You could see your benefits decrease, while your neighbor across the street gets spared. It's arbitrary. It's inequitable. And it's buried so deep in the policy weeds that most people won't realize it until their check comes in smaller than the month before. Now let's zero in on another policy failure the government won't talk about. The switch from paper checks to digital payments. Sounds modern, right? efficient. Except for the 400,000 seniors who don't have bank accounts or know how to navigate a government portal. These are elderly Americans, many isolated, some disabled, who've depended on that check in the mailbox for decades. And now it's gone. With no support, no preparation, and no plan. What do you think happens when they miss a payment? When they fall behind on bills because their benefits are stuck in limbo? When a prepaid card is stolen or a phone scam drains their funds and they don't know who to call or what to do? It's not just inconvenient, it's dangerous. It's a crisis waiting to happen, quietly impacting the most vulnerable among us while policymakers look the other way. And while we're here, let's talk about how inflation is being measured. Because this is the root of so much of the problem. The government still calculates COLA using the CPIW, a metric based on the spending habits of working-age urban Americans. You know who isn't a working-age urban American? A 74-year-old retiree on a fixed income, living in rural Arizona, with a dozen prescriptions and a monthly heating bill that rivals their grocery budget. The CPIE, designed specifically to measure inflation for seniors, has existed for years. It weighs healthcare more heavily, factors in the true costs of senior living, and paints a far more accurate picture of what retirees actually face. If it were being used today, benefits would be $370 a month higher. Let that sink in. That's nearly $4,500 per year being left on the table by every retiree in America. That's not a rounding error. That's rent, utilities, insurance premiums, food. That's dignity. It gets even more damning when you look at how benefits are calculated in the first place. The Social Security formula indexes your past earnings not to inflation, but to national average wage growth. And while that might sound fine on the surface, it falls apart quickly. Because wages haven't kept pace with the cost of living. That means your earnings from 1985 or 1992 are being undervalued in the benefit formula, cutting your monthly check before it even gets taxed or eroded by Medicare premiums. And yes, taxed. Because up to 85% of your Social Security benefits can be taxed if you earn more than $25,000 as an individual or $32,000 as a couple. Sound reasonable? It might have in 1983. But those thresholds have never been adjusted for inflation. Not once in over 40 years. If they had, those limits would be well over $70,000 today. But they're not. So even middle-class retirees who planned, saved, and worked for decades are being punished by outdated tax law that turns what was promised as a guaranteed benefit into a taxable burden. Let's connect the dots. You're told you're getting a COLA, but Medicare premiums cancel it out. You're told you're protected by the hold harmless rule, but only if you check the right box. You're pushed off paper checks whether you're ready or not. Your benefits are calculated using metrics that ignore the reality of your expenses. And the government taxes your benefits using thresholds frozen in time, unchanged since Ronald Reagan was in office. All of this happens in the background, quietly, systematically. And the result is what we're staring down in less than a decade. A massive across-the-board cut to Social Security if reforms aren't passed. 20%. Trustee reports have made it crystal clear. If no action is taken, benefits will drop by 2034. That means nearly every retiree in America will lose hundreds of dollars a month. Permanently. And with Washington gridlocked by partisan games and political posturing, it's becoming increasingly clear that help will not arrive in time. So what do? You stop hoping. You start acting. Right now. Start by reviewing how you receive your benefits. If you're not on direct deposit, switch. If your Medicare premiums aren't being deducted directly, fix that. If you're still relying on a paper check, don't wait for the system to force your hand. Get ahead of it. Contact the Social Security Administration. Enroll in a government-approved prepaid card if you must. But don't let inertia or confusion rob you of the benefits you've earned. Then take a hard look at your retirement income strategy. Can you maximize your earnings in your final working years to boost your benefit? Have you explored Roth conversions while your income is lower to avoid crushing tax hits later? Are you diversifying your income beyond Social Security, building a cushion against volatility, inflation, and policy uncertainty? Because here's the brutal truth. Social Security alone will not carry you. Not anymore. Not with these changes. Not with the 20% cut coming down the pipeline. Not with inflation outpacing COLA. With premiums outpacing benefits. With taxes slicing off the top. You need a plan. You need flexibility. And you need to act before the next announcement catches you off guard. Retirees are not failing the system. The system is failing them. It was never designed to handle 72 million recipients, rising medical costs, stagnant wages, and political paralysis all at once. But that's where we are. And pretending otherwise is a recipe for disaster. So don't look away. Don't shrug this off as something to deal with next year. Because when next year comes, it may be too late. The changes happening on October 15th aren't just paperwork. They're a warning. A signal that the cracks in the system have become too big to ignore. If you've read this far, you know what needs to be done. Get your documents. Run your numbers. Speak to a financial advisor. Talk to your spouse, your kids, your accountant. Make sure your benefits are protected. Make sure your income is diversified. Make sure your taxes are minimized. Don't assume the government will fix it in time, because all evidence points to the opposite. Here's the part that should really scare you. No one in Washington is treating this like the emergency it is. You won't see town halls about it. You won't see presidential debates focused on fixing the Social Security time bomb. What you'll get is silence, because fixing this system requires political courage, and that's in shorter supply than the benefits they're already cutting. They know what's coming. The trustees have said it clearly. A 20% slash in benefits across the board. Not just for future generations, not just for high earners, but for every single retiree. You could do everything right. Work for 40 years, pay into the system, delay your retirement to maximize your check, and still wake up one day in 2034 with your benefits cut by hundreds of dollars. No warning. No real debate. Just a cold, bureaucratic math problem solved at your expense. And they're not preparing you for it. They're distracting you with a 2.5% COLA that's worth less than a bag of groceries. They're covering up the Medicare premium hike by pretending it's normal. They're shifting to digital payments without a plan to protect the 400,000 people most likely to fall through the cracks. Every step is calculated to appear efficient, while the human consequences are ignored. That's the pattern. Every new change, every technical adjustment, every regulation, they all shift more burden onto you. They chip away at your benefit. They complicate your access. They overpromise and underdeliver. And in the meantime, inflation is outpacing your monthly check. Your rent is going up. Your prescriptions are more expensive. Your groceries. Don't even get started. The system is pushing you to fail, hoping you won't notice until it's too late. But you're not powerless. You're not stuck. What you are is on the clock. The people who are going to survive this mess, the ones who are going to retire with dignity, are the ones who stop trusting headlines and start digging into the details. Who ask the hard questions. Who challenge the assumptions. Who treat Social Security not as a safety net, but as one part of a broader strategy. That's what this moment demands. So treat October 15th like the wake-up call it is. It's not just another bureaucratic update. It's a line in the sand. It's a warning to retirees across America. Don't wait. Don't hope. Prepare. Get ahead of the premium hikes. Fix your payment structure. Study your benefit formula. Explore Roth conversions. Build a buffer. Talk to someone who knows what they're doing. And above all, spread the word. Because no one is going to save your retirement but you. Backhand index pointing down, hit that share button. Get this into the hands of every retiree who's still in the dark. And subscribe now to stay armed with the truth they don't want you to hear. The system is changing. You need to be ready.